Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Now, remember we started yesterday this conversation on cyber fraud, the IT fraud, people hacking into other people's emails, and you know, most people, we had a lot to say about it. We couldn't take even a quarter of all the calls that came in. Everybody wanted to contribute. And, people were saying, look, there's so many different problems. I think one guy said that at the end of the day, what has happened is disgraceful, if indeed they are Nigerians. And I don't think there's very much doubt about that. It's disgraceful, but you see, it's a matter of hunger. It's a matter of joblessness. And of course, you also heard yesterday, we were together yesterday, people saying, no, it's about values. We never were like this. There was a time when people were just scared of soiling their name, scared of, not doing the right thing and being found out. Remember, we alluded to, how could Forbes have got it wrong? Forbes said we had a billionaire under 30, we were all happy, we were all celebrating. And then it turned out that whatever was going on didn't bear scrutiny. How is a billionaire arrested by FBI and put in shackles? There's CSA. That's another form of corruption. I'm talking within the context of the war against corruption. Presidential spokesman, presidential office spokesman Garba Shehu has said that the federal government is cooperating with the U.S. to get to the bottom of this, probably meaning that whatever assistance was required by the U.S. authorities, the government would be more than willing. Abike Dabiri has also spoken. In fact, she has said that, look, those people indicted by the U.S. agency, the FBI, just turn yourself in willingly, and maybe if that doesn't work, maybe they then move to the next direction, to the next step. Anyway, we were fortunate to get a couple of young men who are experts in the area. I'm just guessing. Maybe you guys will come in on it. But that's why I said young man. I never ever say that a man is a man. But we get the impression that perhaps this is not something that the elders indulge in. I don't know. Maybe you formed an opinion right there as I was saying that. Elders generally are not there. Is it because elders are not as savvy as the youth or the younger people in terms of computerdom? And now that the youth have become savvy, now that they are the ones busy teaching their parents, or parents have a computer issue, just hand it over to their daughter or their son, who they see as IT, much more IT compliant. I don't know what the issue is. But introducing the people, Femi Aratokun and Dupe Ajibola. Now, both of them, IT experts. Mr. Femi Aratokun happens to be a security consultant, and he is based in the UK. He proudly flies the Nigeria flag. I'm particularly happy to see that Nigerian brooch. I'm always happy when I see that. There you go. That's the Nigeria flag.
I'm a proper brave bro, Niger all the way.
There you go. Good to have you, Femi.
Thank you so much.
And engineer Modupe Ajibola is an IT expert, and he is US based. So it's good. We have one who is actually UK based and the other who is US based. Now we're going to seize the opportunity to, find out a few things about, these specimens of our finest. Let me start with you, Femi, if I may. You are UK based. Yes. You are a security consultant.
Sure.
What is it that you do in the UK by way of setting the scene?
Well, let me first say good morning, Nigerians, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, viewers at home. Mm-hmm. My name again is Oluwafemi Aratokun.
Why did you say it the second time?
I'm from Owo. I'm properly from Owo.
Okay.
I love my town.
Okay.
And you see, let's go straight to the point. It's a disgrace when we see situations going on in our country today that personally, in quotes, people in diaspora are not putting effort to help. Mm-hmm. Again, not that they don't want to help, mm-hmm. but the question is, do they really have a platform to work on?
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Now, why I asked the question, that what is it that you, Mr. Aratokun, do in the UK? Because there are a lot of people that are abroad, they're Germany-based, they're UK-based, and actually you don't know what they're doing, but they have a lot of money and they're building real estate here. So that's why I thought it was important to say, look, this is one of our best, but we got to ask, what exactly is it that you do being UK-based?
Now, I can be fully verified. I work in UK as a security hostile environment close protection officer.
Okay.
That means I'm qualified to deliver training program when it comes to hostility and protection of lives and properties within and outside the shore.
Okay,
in Nigeria.
so security. Now, security has evolved over the decades, and I dare say what you said doesn't necessarily imply information technology, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't in there as well.
Yes, it's part of it as well, because sometimes if we are on covert operations and we need to understand why we are in covert operations and what exactly we need to do, who are those we're targeting and who are those we're trying to apprehend, or perhaps maybe who are those we're trying to protect. This is why and where we now work alongside with people of like mind, like Dupe, that listen, what exactly do we need to know? What do we need to... You see, we work hand in hand together to understand the formation we want to use to combat and reduce and mitigate crime within the society, either from America to UK or from UK to America.
Especially IT crime.
IT crime, yes.
Especially that.
It is the in thing.
Yeah.
And look, even as we're talking about individual, corporate cyber crime is even huge and it's the biggest of it all.
Indeed.
It's happened to the NHS, it's happened to different government agencies. So
the National Health
yeah,
Service
the National
in the
Health.
UK,
So they have a
fraud
whole
is
lot of
going
things
on.
that they're actually working on in trying to mitigate and, perhaps, reduce it to the lowest level they can.
Thank you very much. Now, you referred to Dupe, and let me just say, you said it gets to a time, then we work with, the likes of
We work
Dupe.
hand in hand.
Dupe he's an engineer. Modupe Ajibola is an engineer and an IT expert. He's US-based. So I'm going to ask the same question of you, sir. So what is it exactly that you do in the US?
So we work with companies to develop software as a service, which means corporations and its software and applications to run their businesses. We develop those. More recently, we've been hiring a bunch of Nigerians in the diaspora and also in Nigeria to partake in this. So creating jobs at home, right? So this kind of news actually affects us gravely because folks that give us work to do, I've always been suspicious whether the Nigerians in Nigeria can be trusted. Talk less of the Nigerians over there. It takes a while for a person like me to build integrity with clients, to believe that I, as a Nigerian...
Just because of your nationality,
exactly,
unfortunately.
Exactly. And, we've been dealing with cybercrime, like he mentioned, is even the bigger one. There's phishing, there's social engineering. There's a whole lot of types of cybersecurity issues that, affects companies and businesses. But this issue we're discussing, I don't even think it ties into cyber at all.
Okay.
It's more
It's
of
more
a
social.
It's more of a social,
Social,
social engineering, if you will.
Especially the example we heard, which is one of the things that they do now, is they gain. I forget now, but there is a particular technical term, something about the CEO. In short, they hack into a corporate, email system, and then assume the identity of some high-up person, maybe the CEO, maybe the finance director.
Yeah.
And through that, if they are deft enough and are not idiotic, they actually get the company to do
It's a lot. It's identity theft, DOD, which we mentioned social engineering, which is they build a relationship with CEOs and different people and then find a way to get certain accounts information and then go into the accounts and compromise it. Or they could go through some compromised computer in the system that doesn't have security. This thing can affect just about every business, and what's dangerous about it more recently is that the malwares actually have ability to rewrite their own codes. So these people can send codes to your system. You think you can stop it. That code rewrites itself and still compromises your system, gets the information about your account, and compromises you, your banking information, all that other stuff. So it's very dangerous. That's one aspect. Then there's this other one where we're talking about people scamming people or online scams.
Okay, the romance scams and all of that.
The romance and all of that, which is by and large the biggest one these days, because that one actually involves someone voluntarily giving them money or whatever based on expectations of love or romance or something
that's
like
more
that.
Psychological.
It's very
very
psychological, but it's most of the ones that you're hearing about now. So there's for us, it's difficult as technology people to address a psychological issue, right? So we have to address it with artificial intelligence, AI, and all those things to detect
predictive behavior.
Yeah, so when people come on applications, who are they? Are they who they say they are? And what is their background? So this is an issue in Nigeria where we talked about earlier that if somebody, even if there's a criminal in your neighborhood that just defrauded one of your neighbors, that criminal can come to your door next day and still defraud you and the next boy and the next neighbor, and nobody knows.
Because
There's no information
There's no
moving between.
database.
So that is the more eminent danger Nigeria faces with their own lack of data, with our own lack of data, to track and ascertain these types of behavior so that we can curtail it, right? So everyone is so focused on government resolving this, but I think the private sectors, the likes of us, we've now taken it upon ourselves to write softwares to deal with this, to write applications to deal with this. I have a team in Nigeria now working on these kinds of things that we hope in the next few months we use the consumer-based requirement. So which means consumers don't want to be defrauded, right? So we're using their own interest in security to solve their security problem. And then government can come and create policies behind those. This is the way systems should work. Government normally doesn't always execute ideas as best as private sector can. So we hope that we, by initiatives like this,
Yes.
we can solve some of these problems.
You know, it's interesting you say that because Garba Shehu,
Yeah.
he speaks for the Office of the President.
Okay.
He said that the government is working round the clock and will be cooperating with the U.S. authorities to get to the bottom of this. But before we even get to that, everything that Dupe has explained, maybe we are older and we're not as knowledgeable about these things, but I am surprised that VPNs, I thought corporate organizations they must have a, virtual private network indispensably. How is it the expertise that they're able to override all of this? Because if you have a VPN, if you have a, virtual private network, and they still can identify you, and the whole purpose of a VPN is supposed to give you some cloak of anonymity so they don't know who it is, they can't target anybody. But none of those security devices that most regular, maybe ordinarily cautious people know, why don't they work? Especially when Nigerians are able to hit corporate organizations, hit their sites. What do you think is going on there?
Well, let me be honest with you. In this situation, Nigerians just talk about cybercrime. But in reality, they are not yet ready to deal with cybercrime from the grassroots. They just talk about it and targeted some few
Yahoo boys.
young boys, but it's far more than that.
It's a bigger issue.
It's a bigger issue.
To
Just
answer, but that particular question you answered,
Yeah.
your own system cannot be secure against you. So if you have a username and password,
Yeah.
that's you. And if somehow somebody drinking alcohol with you one night solicits that information from you.
Okay. So it's a very complex web.
Yeah.
You've just explained something that people probably don't factor in.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, it's not all brains in terms of IT. Sometimes there's a lot of undercover work, espionage.
Some people know that the older you get, you don't change your password.
You don't change your password, and some people just want to use the DOB.
They just set something up for you, and you sign into that thing,
And that's it.
creating a new username and they go use that same thing you use
Same thing you use.
somewhere else. So you have to educate the public, and that's the part of
which is what security
Yes,
things are continually saying. Don't use the same password for everything, which is very convenient, but they're saying that's a heck of a flaw.
You see, in UK, sometimes we do what we call testing, software testing, and all the rest. Different corporate bodies. We're like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
This week, all we want to do is shut down all the systems.
Okay.
And everybody should have another new password or have another new username. Or even the corporate body might say, okay, we want to change our username so that we have a different thing to use. They try to work from the back end so that it doesn't affect the customers or people using it. But at the end of the day, the way they're going to roll it out will be so systematic and all that. You won't even know that a law has changed overnight. You mentioned the idea of the weekend bosses going out and all the rest. It happens in the corporate world. Fridays could be a hot target for fraudsters to nip straight into systems. Because from UK culture, on Fridays, it's like, you know what, let's go to the pub.
Yes, you wind down.
Let's wind down. So weekends, trust me, they don't even care. if the
Yeah.
systems
So,
are
That is on one level.
on
I
one level,
understand.
yeah,
I understand.
legitimately, yeah. So,
but I think if we don't digress too much into the tech of
Yeah.
this, there's an aspect of it that is more eminent and more important. The issue of why do Nigerians even engage in such activities has been, folks have done several reports on it. You cannot expect the livelihood of people to stay in a certain condition because of economic strides and issues they have, and not find a way to transcend that. A lot of criminals emerge out of economic issues.
yeah.
They do. A lot of these kids are playing on the computer. They're not getting jobs. Nigeria is not giving them jobs. Corporations are screaming at government. So who is focused on them? Who is focused on them? You have to solve the problem of job creation. You have to solve the problem of making examples. When that Forbes announcement was made,
Yeah.
right, about this individual,
This individual, yeah.
what did Nigerian government do to, say, celebrate one of their own? If you don't celebrate intellectualism, if you don't celebrate value-added citizens, you will celebrate criminals.
And it's unfortunate. That
And
is
when
what
you
we've been
celebrate
celebrating
criminals
for a long time.
Most Nigerians think it is...
Well, even if there's any celebration of criminals, it's because they're under the illusion that they are anything but criminals.
But that's the thing,
That's the
though.
thing.
That's the thing. If you asked us what we do for a living, if somebody comes here and pays enough money to tell you they are whatever they are,
How will you be able to verify that?
you can verify that, and that's the people we celebrate in Nigeria. So is who they say they are. Newspaper articles are written by the person that wants the story told, not the author of the article, not the newspaper person. It's like you write your own thing and say, go publish it as you writing it. So what I'm trying to say here is this. There's a social issue that needs to be addressed. And it doesn't necessarily have to come from government addressing it. It has to come from the likes of us creating opportunities for these people. It is literally about 23 point something billion dollars of diaspora funds that is spent in Nigeria year on year and is growing. So that money should have gone to something more constructive than just partying, buying more fun clothes and something like that. So folks in the diaspora need to understand that it behooves us to create jobs also in Nigeria and not just be sending money for money's sake. If we don't, our identity is tied to all this crisis that is happening from this country. Me, that I'm in America, I'm affected by crimes committed by a Nigerian here. So I better create jobs for as many of them as I can, right? Sure. Make good examples of them than to just sit down there and say, at least I'm not there.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay, yeah, let me, Dupe, from what you've just said, I think now I need to address the diasporans.
okay.
My point is this, we've discussed it earlier on. We are not waiting again for the government to create a platform. We need to build a platform ourselves because a lot of people want to come home, but they have this fear of, oh my God, kidnap, thieves, thugs, gangs. My street is not safe. That one is not safe.
Things don't work.
Things don't work. Why not come down and do your own little quarter within your own environment and make it work? Over time, I have been doing my own within the police sector, within the individual sector, and a whole lot of areas to make sure that at least what I've learned over there, I'm passing it on in a more positive way.
Have you been able to achieve that here?
Of course,
Okay,
yes.
so you're able to,
I
at least,
have
as you
been-
said, every
I
little
am
bit counts.
I am
Every
happy
little bit
enough-
counts.
Every little bit.
Look, I am happy enough to tell you that when Edgar was the CP, I spoke to him one-on-one.
Okay.
It never worked. Guess what I did? I went straight to divisional police officers. And I started
Okay.
delivering training programs to them, reorientating them. Yes, it's a big block to work on, but at least we are achieving. And some of the DPOs...
What was the aim? Was it to sort of tackling fraud, no matter...
Tackling criminals within the environment, because
Okay.
all this crime we're talking about starts from the streets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying now? So if we can just do a little quarter from behind the scene, it will definitely have the government back.
You know, it's
And
funny
the
you
use of
say
IT,
that.
the use of IT, does IT come into this?
Of
Because
course
this is
it's-
2019.
Yes, now IT.
The way they fought
the
crime-
fastest growing industry in the world is in the IT
is in the IT
sector.
sector.
So for you not to mobilize these smart Nigerian kids that are savvy
Mobilize
already
them.
and create jobs around them instead of condemning them to the life of fraud behooves me. It should be a national movement. this involving Nigerians in IT initiatives and businesses and jobs.
You see,
know.
if we don't create this
You
orientation,
know, what you
so
guys are
hard,
saying is intense. It's intriguing because it reminds me
Yeah.
that hackers abroad, hackers in the US, let me specify,
Yeah.
and I forget the name of the guy, served his sentence, he was convicted and all of that. But now he's been hired by big business to bring his knowledge when he was a criminal to
help them.
to work,
To solve the
pointing out
situation
all the
for
things
them,
that they
yeah.
don't see.
They don't see.
Because they can't think, quote unquote, like a criminal. I mean, I don't know that that is a very usual strategy, but a reformed criminal who thinks in a very creative way and perhaps surprising way, this guy is now sort of working together. And there was a bit of that in what you said, that instead of just condemning these guys that for ne'er-do-wells, you probably need to harness
them. Transcend them.
Okay.
Convert them into tools that the country can use and use for the benefit of the country, job creation, and so on and so forth. We cannot afford to lose these people into mediocrity.
You see,
Okay.
Jupe,
One moment, please.
Okay.
Mama Say wants to come in. Mama Say is in Owerri. Did I get that name right? Good morning.
You're right, Uncle Ere.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, Uncle Ere, your topic is very interesting this morning.
Okay. We started it yesterday.
Yesterday, indeed, yeah. Yesterday, indeed, in respect of the fraud Nigerians are committing abroad.
Yeah.
Yesterday, so many of your panel talked extensively in the system as well, but they were emphasizing on parental knowledge of the family
and a sense of morals.
Thank you, sir. So the issue of the issue now, it has gone above the moral. Because when you look at our system, our politicians have all these boys. Really, some of them are 419ers. Some of our House of Assembly members, senators, State House, many of them started from there because we don't have record of our leaders. Like somebody called yesterday and said, do you trace all these rich men in Nigeria, how they come about their riches? No. And there is no business thriving in Nigeria except politics and the Yahoo. Trace many of them in states, in the federal, many of them are godfathers of these boys. That is why you see some of them close to them. They are their godfathers. And it's a cartel. It has engulfed the nation. So let us not be seeing it as if it's something that started today.
Yeah, we know.
We have forefathers who have been in the house, state house, governors. The only thing now is that for the state, the nation in general, to find a way to view things that will engage our youth meaningfully, and as well, like one else you are just alluding. Let them get some of these guys, bring them into the ICT stuff, let them bring a good idea. That is how it's going to work. But as you say, if you clamp them down, it's not possible. You come to police, many of the policemen have learned this Yahoo. Through these boys, when they arrest them, they take them and ask them how is this thing working. They will educate them.
Okay.
They can't arrest them.
All right.
Their payrolls.
All right.
So
Thank you.
please let the state find a way to resolve the problem.
Okay. So thank you very much for calling in. I wouldn't be surprised. The police
an
probably
amazing-
will take exception to that we can arrest them. I don't know. But he almost seemed to be saying that, like a lot of bad things, crime especially, that there are people in the background who are sponsoring all of this.
Yeah.
I almost got the impression that he was saying that there are people behind all these guys. Are they training fraudsters? Are they making available, spending whatever money is necessary for them to gain the knowledge?
I think the culpability of government, if any, is in their abject silence when it comes to this ordeals, right? We are culpable also, right? Every one of us Nigerians that do nothing in the eyes of transcending the where these Nigerians find themselves, these young people find themselves.
Okay.
We are culpable in what they become. You know, when we say these children of nowadays, when people are saying children of nowadays, what are you doing to enable these children of nowadays to be useful part of the society? So what we have to do is give them tools. We can't talk. This conversation for us is not useful because for guys like me and him, what is useful is we hear this and we say, okay, there has to be a tool we can use to vet them. Let's figure that tool out. And we're not just vetting them here now, we're vetting them in the US, which means we're telling the US people that if you're going to deal with Nigerians in the diaspora, come through this platform, we will vet them for you. And if they're not who they say they are, we will make sure the rest of America knows that this person has done A, B, C, and D.
Okay.
Don't engage with them anymore. It's at your own discretion if you do so.
Okay.
Right? And then we have security software that we do to identify those people, their digital signatures.
Yeah.
So when they come up anywhere else as somebody else, we can go fetch them and say, we know who you are. It's still the same guy here, so don't deal with them. So it's technology.
It is. Now I wanted to come to you on that point that he just left.
Yeah.
You said you've engaged, with some institutions here.
Yeah, I have.
Do we have that ability, what you just said, which anybody who is in the West knows that don't think there's any anonymity in what you're doing, or unless you have a VPN of a particular strength and all that. But do we?
Mr. Yori, I think you need to visit any of the police stations and tell me where you're going to find a desktop. I'm not saying a laptop now, a desktop on any police station counter. I think the answer is zero. If you're going to find probably maybe in Abuja, not even.
So they can't link up. They can't link up by way of information to know
Well, they have
if these guys that have
I'm
arrested.
Look, Nigerians, I'm not trying to probably insult my institution.
Yes.
But I think sometimes we need to call a spade a spade. We only use this big note, higher education with the hardcover to write the names. How will you even know that I visited the station 2 days ago or 3 days ago if you don't have the facial recognition? How can you tell that 2 years ago I was in that station? You see, a lot is really happening that we need to really tackle. If I were you, it is high time you just tame this man down not to travel again to America.
We can't pay him. That's the problem. We can't pay the man. Tony in Norway. Good morning. How's Norway today? Tony? Oh, dear.
Yeah, Uncle Yori.
Hello, sir. How's Norway today?
Hello, Uncle Yori.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Norway is okay. We have a big storm today. Okay. What I want to contribute about the issue you guys are discussing on the house there is that, Uncle Yori, let me tell you, I listen for your program every time. The issue is that, let me start from the other, one of your guests there.
Yeah.
He said that those our people that are living in diaspora, it's advising them to come back home. Uncle Yori, it's not easy to come back home. Uncle Yori, there is too much insecurity in Nigeria. If I come back home today, for example, the day before yesterday, I had that somebody drive from Enugu State, somebody drive from Enugu to home. Along the line, he's about to open his gate and enter inside his compound. You know that somebody stopped him there and collected his car and shot him. This is inside village. So how can I have this kind of mind to pick up my children, my wife, sell my property here, move them to Nigeria? It's impossible.
No, he's getting the narrative very wrong.
And again,
Tony, I hear what you're
saying. In terms of what these people are happening around the world about Nigeria.
Okay. Tony,
any proper plan.
Tony, we're talking about cyber crime. As unfortunate as the other event you narrated is, we're talking about cyber crime, Nigerian youths, maybe not. They're taking advantage of the system and giving the country a bad name, stealing people's money electronically.
Yeah. I understand. Every Nigerians are not. We are not all criminals. Okay. Even in America, we still see the bad ones.
Okay.
Okay. I don't support cybercrime. I'm not a criminal. I have work. I'm working. I'm a very hard-working man in Norway.
But it's happening too much. Tony, but it's happening too much.
Again,
is why we're talking about it now. Why are Nigerians in it? That's the question.
Yeah, it's happening too much. I'm understand because of the Nigerian government have no future for Nigerian youth.
Okay. Look,
There's no future for Nigerian youth. So everybody wants to go away. And the minute they get away, and many of us, when we come out from Nigeria, some of them, they want to go back to Nigeria with big cars, big houses, big this, big that. Put them into pressure.
okay.
Okay? So many of them, they start doing stuff, criminal things, to go back and show themselves. That's job in America. If you want to work in America, you can stop job in America. Those are choose to start beating people, doing 419. Okay?
All right, Tony. I'm sorry to disconnect you. I mean, but thank you very, very much. We've got to go to break now. And Tony was actually speaking to part of our ethics. He said, you come here, you want to go back with a big car, you want to do this. So there's a problem right there. You know, this is something that we talked about yesterday, and Tony has alluded to it. Why is that? I just don't understand it. But we're going to break now. Stay with us, please. We'll continue this conversation and continue taking your calls as well. Okay, welcome back, and we're looking at this controversial subject. Maybe not so controversial. It's Nigerians are being besmirched by behavior that nobody is proud of. Unfortunately, people are so proud of whatever it takes. Just have money to show at the end of it. No matter how crudely you express it, it is thought that the society will bestow you with some level of acceptance, if not even admiration and even reward. Because we have a society here where you bring enough money, you become a chief. It doesn't matter what part of the country you come from. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that because maybe I don't have the evidence, but I do have the evidence from my side of my neck of the woods, where you see people and they do the right things and they become chiefs. Their status is enhanced in society. And I think people thinking that, maybe I need to come back to that point about, I would have thought, call me a romantic, I would have thought the Nigerian of 50 years ago knew that his name was very, very important. And you've lost it all if you lose your name. Now behavior, reckless behavior doesn't seem to matter anymore. People are taking more risks. You guys have sort of indicated that you've posed a question. Maybe we shouldn't be blaming these guys too much. Maybe we should be bringing the magnifying glass to what is it that we are doing for them, these brains that go above and are able to trick systems, trick, big corporations, those kind of brains. What are we doing to actually harness them instead of letting them go abroad and let them loose on the unsuspecting world?
I'll say something. You see, people gravitate towards what is the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's the issue that Nigerians face by most part is morality. There's a deficit of morality, fine. But more importantly, when we begin to celebrate, we talked about celebrities, we talked about all these stars and what their priorities are. But that is the lack of...
You actually didn't say that on air. It was when we were on break.
Okay, all right.
You were saying that the parts that our celebrities play in all of this.
But because professionalism is lacking. And when I say professionalism, I mean professions. People celebrating professions and intellectualism as is in deficit in Nigeria. Intellects are relegated to the side while people that nobody knows what they do
and don't know nothing,
money,
but have a Rolls Royce, for example, will be celebrated.
So then we have to reinvent the content curation and content distribution to reprogram the people. What that means is we have to reprogram the youth to value.
At this stage of your statement is where locally somebody will say, that reminds me, what is the National Orientation Agency doing? It isn't doing jack.
Mr. Yori, I think...
Before you come in, let me quickly bring in Mazi Okoroafo. He's calling in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning, man.
My brothers, so now welcome to Nigeria. Thank God, all of us are part and parcel of the system.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now we win.
we are working forward at least to make Nigeria a better place for all of us.
Thank you so
See,
much.
cyber crime continue increasing daily because our youth are in a hurry to acquire wealth in a dubious source. You ask yourself, what are they doing with the money? Buy exotic cars and living abracadabra life. Now, how do we stop it? Nigerians should stop worshiping wealth. That's number one.
Okay.
Two, people should continue monitoring their accounts day in, day out. Because when you look at, you people are, thank God that the authorities, the TDC, have brought experts that are into the system telling Nigerians what they should and what they should. Now, our security agencies should do some serious investigations before parading any suspects. Now, what do I mean by that statement? Serious. We need a proper investigative journalism, serious one, so that before you move now, you move forward, collected what those people have already acquired before you parade. Because a situation whereby you leave some things with them, they will go back, the court or the police or investigators, they will just turn down everything else. You see them going back to the same crime because they have way to bounce back. By the time you saw way to bounce back before parading them and before taking the ticket, they will change and look for another profession doing. Now, the issue is this. They are now creating a very bad name like what one of their guests they said at the beginning of this program. Because a situation whereby you are going to do business with another person outside Nigeria, there's what we call business trust. You trust somebody before you enter the business. At least you are sure of getting your money. But under what is happening now, the business will now be shaking. But we pray that the authority outside Nigeria will know that all these things are just by some crop of criminals who don't want to look for another source of income. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos. Gentlemen, I'm very, very happy with you, the way you are educating Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mazi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Now, okay.
Yeah. You see, what you were about to say, let me be honest with you. Over years, I have been questioning and asking, do we actually have the National Orientation Agency staff members doing what they're meant to do in the first place? The answer is perhaps maybe they just create that department and it's not effectively working. I think this is the high time for them to now sit up that I think we have a job to do.
I don't think...
that is my, listen, that's my own opinion.
I was
could be
just
wrong.
I was just saying that, look, the churches have been at it, the mosques have been at it for ages, telling you God doesn't want this, you mustn't do this. So there's a sense in which they've not listened. We've not listened. Now, the National Orientation Agency...
Who's not listening? Help me.
Well, from the escalating figures of crime, I'm getting the impression that...
That the youths are not...
That
listening.
the preachings, yes, okay, that the preachings...
But are they preaching to the youths where they're at, or are they preaching from the pulpit? You have to preach to them where they're at. Where they're at, they're in social media.
Social media.
You have to meet them where they're at.
I think that's an excellent point that you're making.
Look,
I think that's an excellent point that you're making. That
Preaching within the church environment is completely different from social media because a lot of people right now, one single tap on the system, all they want to see is likes of serious thing that is happening, as in rubbish and the whole. You see, when you click on some...
Mazi made a point.
Yeah.
He said that, inter alia, that we're not strict enough yet. People, ill-gotten gains can put up all sorts of structures, real estate. It's a very free land. Nobody asks anybody questions. Yes. Put up a block of 24 flats. Nobody's going to bat an eyelid.
Look, I'm saying you're right, but the social issue, though, if you tie it back again, if us in the diaspora, say a Nigerian girl makes it into a debate, debates club, and she wins a national award, there's no reason why we shouldn't have a GoFundMe amongst us to celebrate this person. That encourages other Nigerian youths to follow the same route. That's what I'm saying, that we ourselves as a community cannot wait for government to recognize us. We have to recognize each other, and we have to chip in. So what the likes of us know we have to do now, just build tools. Because you see, government is always behind, a step or two behind in most countries anyway, on movements, on trends. So if we build the tools and they see the effectiveness of these tools, then maybe they can plug into it. That's what I think Nigeria needs. The mentality here is not government should do something. No, is we should show government how to do something.
Especially those of us that are being affected. You just said that being a Nigerian, you have a business in the US, you have a business in the UK, it is affected.
It's affecting all of us.
It's
by
affecting
the
everyone.
reputation. Dr. Olayemi in Ife, I believe. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
I followed your program yesterday and also today.
Okay.
The issue is this. There's no human being without the tendency to be criminal. There's none.
Okay.
What we don't have in our own society or in our own setting today is we lack institutions. You will see a foreigner coming to our country. He will do all sorts of things. But immediately he gets to his own country, he starts complying with the law. I think the problem with us here is that we are not asking questions and we are not putting the right people in the right place who can ask questions. And we always look away from the reality. The issue of Yahoo started a long time ago. Okay?
Yahoo, internet fraud.
Yes,
Okay.
started a long time ago, and nobody was bothered about it until it is now getting a life of its own.
And has gone into the corporate level.
Yes. Long time ago, we used to have the predecessors of these Yahoo guys in the 80s, but they were doing it at the there was no electronic means of doing it at that time.
Yeah.
They will go and approach the person and woo the person, but we are not having the grandchildren of those guys now. And another problem with it is that we have relegated the role models to the background.
Okay.
In any case where you relegate the teachers in the universities or in the primary school, that you relegate them to the lowest level in society. You cannot start making them your role models. Being a role model, you start with your parents, your teachers, and all that. The moment those guys are not there, then you can do anything you want to do. You can follow any person that is flouting words around, and then you start celebrating the person. And before you know it, that is your own role model. We don't have role models in Nigeria, except those who choose not to be criminal. As I said, they all have that tendency to be criminal. But if the institutions are there, everything will be put in perspective. Everybody will fall in line.
Okay.
I'm aware of policemen that are doing Yahoo. They are policemen. They are still doing it. So
that is because when you say Yahoo, that's defrauding people online and dispossessing them of their money.
Yes, I'm speaking the language we understand here. Okay, when a policeman is also doing this, then it becomes a problem. I mean, how do you report the case? If you see one, how do you report it?
Okay, you know, Dr. Olayemi, I got to thank you very much for calling in. Really appreciate your call. You see, I want to go back to the point I made before he came, which is that this seems to be our land, unfortunately, seems to be a safe haven for, some of the loot, that people get illegitimately, because you've made the point earlier yourself, nobody will ask any questions.
Yeah.
And in a society where nobody will ask any questions because, is it a cultural thing? I don't know. Mazi Okorafor brought that matter up. He brought it up, that you've got to go to a level where you dispossess people of suspect properties, suspect wealth. Now, I know EFCC is doing something similar. Only the other day, the Azani's trinket box of $41 million worth of jewelry. That idea, you got to dispossess and show that there's zero tolerance for such loot in this country. I don't know. I'm not saying Nigeria is the only one. Nigeria is the only place.
Let me chip in there.
Sure.
What I would say is this. We're talking about EFCC doing so much. I think we have a department called the State CID. And the idea of the State CID is to probably work undercover to bring criminals out from their hiding places. and probably to, discover some other hidden stuffs that we don't even know and bring it to light. But the key thing is this: do they actually have the real resources to work to actually, mitigate the idea of this internet fraud we're talking about today? I'm talking about police now, not EFCC. The police don't even have it. They might have a bit of.
But the most important thing, the most important resource that I think the policeman needs is
information.
Well, yes, and also
how do you now process
sense of being upright.
How do you now process this information, Mr. Yori?
We hire him as a policeman.
Yes, how do you process this information without getting out? And before you actually, just like what one of them said, that please investigate and do your investigation properly before bringing them out to the whole public.
Yeah.
Do they have the right tools and resources? The question is this, and the answer to it is they do not have it. I'm talking from the police now.
Bisayo in Abuleba, I want to apologize for keeping you waiting a bit. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Go ahead, please.
Well, the most important thing is for government to give employment to the youth. Employment to the youth. Except they provide employment to the youth. And another thing is this, our legal character. When somebody from Zamfara score 2 points and somebody from Imo or Anambra needs to struggle for 150, it's not fair. Our federal system is not okay. It's discriminating. And that's why people find alternative means of making breakthrough in life. Because our federalism is cheating. The youth in the southern part especially are cheated. And that's why they find all means of breaking through. Employment is not going on. But on the other hand, we have people who get into federal system just because of the part of the country they come from. These are the things.
But what about the basic principle of honesty? Just being an honest human being. Don't steal someone else's property. How about that?
I know. It's that. The government should give the youth employment.
Okay. All right then. Thank you very much for calling in.
So you're both right. Basic decency, honesty, it's easier experienced when you're not hungry.
That's the point that is being made.
Yes, it's
that's the
easier
point that is being
experience
made.
when you're not hungry. But when you're hungry and desperate, it is the darn hardest thing for you to understand why not to take advantage of a system that you know how to take advantage of. And we have to now find a way. Two things. In the U.S., by the way, back in the day when African Americans were not given opportunities, and they found opportunities in a number of places, sports, music, and a handful of places. And what did you see? You saw a trend of African American kids focusing in those areas. Music is either they're singing, is either they're playing football, producing, or something. So even criminals, gangs put money together to go into music, to do things that could propel them. Right? So what I'm saying is that if there's such an industry that you create, that kids see that they can become something true
and move into. It goes back to your point about, are you preaching from the pulpit or are you preaching from where the kids, universe is? That reminds me of Sonny Ade, our own local musical celebrity here. He had this line in his music. It is not the hungry man that's going to be listening to any sermon.
No.
He was making the point that you got to take care of that if he's going to listen to your sermon. And I think that is the point that's coming up. Say, you got to find something for these guys to do. So we can't just stay here and self-righteously.
It's not just a government
thing. You've been re-emphasizing that.
It's not just a government thing.
Just like what we said, before we came on show. We were talking about so many ideas and stuff like that. Yes, the president made a very good point by changing the prison system to correctional name or whatsoever is called it right now. But the question is this: what are they doing to change the mindset of people in prison so that by the time they come out, they become a better person?
Yeah, so you see, the reason I keep emphasizing it's not a government thing is this. There's a deficit of basic understanding in the community, which enlightenments. People are not as enlightened as they need to be. And you and I cannot afford to wait on government to enlighten them. For us to galvanize them to go do something.
Okay, you got to do something for
we have to.
yourself.
We got to enlighten them.
Get up off your butt. And
we
do
just
something
have to do
yourself.
something.
We have to.
And that's
We
the
have to,
point that you think is missed. Because we're all
totally
busy
missed. That's the
saying,
missing
but
link.
government this, but government that.
No.
What are we doing for ourselves seems to be the point you're making.
Look, everyone that
and
called,
every little bit helps.
Everyone that called on your show today talked about government and talked about the issue. Every statement starts, 90% of statements I've heard in Nigeria start with, the issue is, the issue is.
So we know.
And
What
check
about
this
the
out, there was a show I was watching when they were talking about this 419 guy, some Igbo guy, a kidnapper. And they caught they were looking to catch him, and some police had shot each other on that stuff.
Yeah.
On that show, they went through and saying the guy has been slimy, difficult to catch, elusive, and everything. And someone calls the show and says, by the way, can you guys put his picture up so we, the public, can assist you in finding him? Guess what happened after that guy went off the call? They totally ignored that statement and went back to, so the issue is that these kidnappers are doing a lot in that. And I'm thinking, the man just gave you the answer. You say you can't find him. You don't know where he's at. Put his picture there, at least address it. So our mentality has to change to stop talking about this problem and find a way to listen just once or twice to a solution.
Once more, Akorede in Abule Agbe, I believe. Akorede in Alagbado. Did I get that right? Akorede, good morning, sir.
Yes,
are you still there?
Morning.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, I'm still here, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Lori.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I want to thank Mr. Aratokunwale and Mr. Gentleman, sir, from US.
Modupe. His name is Modupe.
Dupe Ajibola.
Yeah, Mr. Modupe Ajibola. Yes. And concerning the cyber fraud, I would like to start by the government should engage the youth. Even the community, in our community, the community leaders should make sure that the youth are engaged. If they cannot provide a job for them, let them go outside and find something to do. For those that have been caught in cyber crime, I think severe punishment should be made so that the ones coming behind them will learn from them.
Okay.
Not that they will arrest somebody today, by tomorrow or next tomorrow they will release the person.
Mm-hmm.
Such thing is encouraging this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But if there is severe action against such people, those that are coming behind will learn from it. And also celebrating the role model.
Yeah.
Our role model needs to be celebrated. For example, the local teachers. If they are not celebrating them, nobody would like to become like them.
Our sense of values turned upside down.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I really appreciate your call. Thank you very much. And just by the way, it needs to be said that there are youths online, there are youths on the internet who actually are making a very good living, but it takes hard work. It's not easy because it's not forgery. It's not pressing a button and getting somebody's money to download into a bank that you directed. There are people, very, very successful Nigerians, young Nigerians on the internet. But you see, it takes work. It's hard work. And it also takes creativity. These guys, I don't know, their own kind of creativity. Maybe it's because, as you've been emphasizing, it wasn't channeled.
Those
and
guys
developed.
work harder than the youth you're talking about. They work for the youth that work for
the fraudsters.
Me. The fraudsters work harder.
They work more harder.
I mean, they work harder because you know what it takes to go drink with somebody looking for account number. I can imagine their life is every day they're sniffing, trying to.
Wow.
These other guys are perfecting craft. They work for me. They're software developers, they're programmers. They're learning something and how to use it again and again. You know, so their own work gets easier as they gain knowledge.
Okay.
The fraudsters,
They work harder.
Gets harder.
Is what you're saying.
It has to. I have to imagine.
let me
Yes, very, very briefly, please, because
okay.
we've run out of time.
Okay,
Maybe
you see,
very, very briefly.
What I think I can tell Nigerians, especially the youths, my advice is this: please let us ditch and drop the whole madness going on around our names and our values.
Because we're bigger than that, and we're better than that.
We are bigger than that. We're better than that. We can do more than that. From the people who have actually engaged within the Nigerian police and the civil defense and private individuals, I know Nigerians are very, very creative.
I
they
think
can do better.
That's a fine place at which to leave it. Thank you very much, Femi Aratokunale. security consultant.
It's a long name.
Based in the, it is one. It's also an our name that you're very proud of. And,
Very proud of my
and thank you very much, Engineer Modupe Ajibola, IT expert based in the US. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your perspectives with us and really pointing us in some directions that perhaps we're not paying attention to now that perhaps could benefit us if we could pay attention to that place. Okay, so that's our program today. It turned out to be a two-part kind of a subject matter from yesterday to today. Thank you for being with us, and do join us tomorrow, please, for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.